when you finally decided to leave your second husband, it was pretty much the first time that you were going to have to move out on your own.
Yep.
With 5 kids or
4. Oh, well, 3.
3
kids. The one he was moving to Philly the same summer. He had graduated from high school and was moving. He was in college. He might have been a year into college, but I remember he was moving to the city. So he was moving out. So it would just be the 3, 2 boys and a girl.
So how was that mentally for you as far as going from like a home with your kids to then going to, where did you go?
To an apartment.
Females deal with, you know, they're in a home and they look good. And then the nervousness of the transition of, where did you transition?
Well, to be able to leave, I think you have to, you like accept your truth of your reality, and then you start taking the steps of that. And I remember the fear of having to live in a woman's shelter to like actually leave. I remember for months working out a budget, how much money I was going to need to make, and playing with numbers and coming to the conclusion, like, there's no way I can support these kids. I'm going to be living in a car, or like, how am I going to get out? And I think I ran the business. I dealt with the accountant, the tax refunds would come in. And I was trying to think of when I got my own bank account and how that came to be. And I can't remember like what the reason was, but like that was like the first step. And then also I didn't have a car. Like we would have, a lot of times we'd only have one car because, you know, I didn't need a car. I worked from home, kind of a thing, you know, and so for a lot of the time we'd have one car. And so I didn't have a car. And like around that time, my son started driving, and my mother-in-law was like, oh, my neighbor has this Volkswagen, this little black Volkswagen and she was thinking more for my son. And I was like, oh my God, I've always loved Volkswagens. So like, cause I love the movie Herbie and everything. And I've just always loved Volkswagen. So I was like, I want that car. And of course my son was like, I am not driving that car. No, thank you. So I got this amazing car. Like I got it for $3,000. It was a 2001, and it had like 21,000 miles on it. Like it was, this little old lady she had passed away, and that's how the car came to be. But she hardly drove it. So it was like this new car. And so it was paid for. So I put it in my name. That was my car. So that was like,
wait. What did your husband say?
He was fine with it. And he didn't know what I was thinking. And that's the thing is, once you know, you cannot let them know.
Yeah.
You have to, you're at war. And if they know anything, they will undermine everything. And I knew, well, and I had known because anytime I came to, I had learned this before I even actually knew about narcissism, is like, if there was something good that was going to happen in my life, like I wanted to do a 5K. 5K, 3K, 5K. I don't know. I wanted to do this run. And so like, I like trained. I remember being so proud of myself that I made it my first mile without stopping and all the milestones to do this goal. And he would undermine, he would say things that would make me like, you can't do this. I remember the day of the event, him getting up and like him like saying he didn't feel good or doing things. So like in my mind, I knew that if it was anything good that I wanted, I couldn't let him know that it mattered to me or anything. So when the process of leaving, you don't say you're leaving or anything, because they will do everything to undermine you. So I don't remember how I got my checking account in my name, because that also helps. Anything that you can separate and have your own is what you have to do. Yep. And I also, by running the business and by him giving me all that responsibility, because the first husband was very controlling and took care of all the money, all the accounts, paid the bills, would allot me money or yell about what I spend it on and stuff. So this one, the second one, had this whole other view of money. Like, we'll just spend it. We'll figure out how to make it later. And so like, and when I first met him, that was like so freeing because he didn't yell at me or, you know, control. There wasn't, money wasn't this control thing. So to me, that felt so like freeing.
Mm-hmm.
But also it turns out that that's really hard because you can't save money or like the budgeting or working well together with it, or, you know, like it was a whole other money issue. And, but he gave me all this responsibility. So in that I would know, like when was the last possible day you can pay the electric bill before they turn it off. And I learned all these things, and I was like, I learned all these skills being married to him that I knew that I could be better off on my own. Like if I could be fully in control of all of that. And so that gave me this, I was lucky in that way that it gave me this confidence in being on my own over time by being in that relationship. And the way he was, I learned how to work around that. And I learned, I got confidence in that so that I could be on my own. So I wasn't like afraid of being on my own. Also, in 2013, he had an eye injury. So so I was already thinking about leaving, and then he injured his eye, and really, really bad, a work incident. And so he went to Florida to work with his brother. And, in those months that he was gone, I saw the atmosphere in the house. Like, it was the first time that I saw the difference. Yeah. And I handled everything on my own. Like, I was completely running everything on my own. And it was so much easier, because that's another fear, is you're like, how can I be a single mom? You don't realize you are a single mom, only you have this extra burden that you're taking care of as well. You are a single mom. Like, I did everything myself anyways, but actually physically running that house for 6 months on my own, that was another eye opener. That was like, we were so happy. Mealtime was just like, you know, you want grilled cheese? Tonight I have grilled cheese, you know, like it was so, just seeing the difference in the atmosphere really gave me that push too. So by the time I moved out, I remember getting getting the keys and getting into the apartment. And if I knew how to do cartwheels, I would have done cartwheels all over. I could care less that it was empty, that it was a 2-bedroom. It didn't matter. It was for the first time in my life, it was my space. And I'll never forget that feeling. It was like I had done it.
Yep. I can't recall that.
The kids handled it differently. They were really they were embarrassed that we lived in a tiny apartment, that we downsized, you know. They didn't want their friends to see. Like, there was that initially. But I just kind of like I understand how you feel, and would talk with them. Like, I understand, but the important thing is like the happiness, you know, and and it took I don't remember how long. It probably took a couple months before my daughter, they would invite their friends over, and their friends were totally fine. You know, because it was about how we were all together. And I have a great relationship with all their friends and stuff, you know, they love to be over. And so I think the kids seeing that, you know, and they got over that. And